Hey all, Flame here, and welcome to the FlameHisWorld playthrough of Ristar. Now, Ristar is a Sega Mega Drive game that's developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. It came out in February 1995, so a few months before I was born, a little bit before my time, but hey, that's what I get for being babby. Anyway, Ristar is a game that didn't really get that much attention back in the day. It was a game that, because it came out quite late in the Mega Drive's lifespan, the Mega Drive had already had its big hitters. It had Sonic and Sonic. So what I'm trying to get at is that it was a game that sort of missed the prime opportunity to do well, get mainstream attention, and it ended up just getting a bit of a cult following. But I wanted to cover this game because I really like what I've played for Ristar. I really enjoyed my time playing through this game, and I just think it's a really solid platformer because despite the Sonic Team influence, it's actually not just a Sonic clone. And I know, look away from the character design because Ristar does look like a Sonic character, let's be fair here. He is like an anthropomorphic star, and that's not really that much of a far cry from anthropomorphic hedgehog, anthropomorphic fox. He could be a Sonic character, but we get into the game and you see that this gameplay, it's not putting emphasis on going fast. It's not putting emphasis on spinning a ball or anything like that. No, Ristar is quite a bit of a slower paced platformer, which I'm actually okay with. Because the thing here is that it's not so much about belting your way through a level trying to get fast times or anything like you would with, say, classic Sonic. Instead, you just sort of prompted to explore a little bit. You're trying to climb around using Ristar's stretchy arms, and that is Ristar's biggest gimmick in this game. He has stretchy arms, he can climb, he can grab onto things, he grabs at enemies to defeat them, and it's just a bit of a different kind of platformer to the kind of platformers I usually play through. And it is nice to have that change of pace from time to time, because while I really do like both my gotta go fast platformers and my jump and shoot platformers, getting a little bit more platformy is quite fun sometimes. But first up here, I've gone a little way into the level and I've got to the bonus stage. Now, I will only be showing off this one bonus stage, and that's because I don't really think they're all that necessary. You go into them, you do a little bit of a challenge, and you get an item, which, again, the item doesn't actually do anything, so yeah, it's more like if you want to boost your score, then you can do that. But not my thing. I prefer to go start to finish for games, so that's how I'll be approaching this particular playthrough. But in terms of levels here, this first level is Planet Flora. And Planet Flora, it's a really good intro level, I think. It teaches you the ropes when it comes to climbing, to grabbing, to swinging on these little poles. It is the perfect first level. It gives you a chance to get a feel for these different mechanics without them overwhelming you. And that's essentially what the purpose of a first level should always be, in my eyes. Just let you get a feel for what you're going to be doing through the game. And that's why I kind of like it. And I know I'm sort of running in all over the place for this game, but there's a lot of stuff to get through and quite a speedy intro stage. So, I'm trying to get everything in where I can. It does have a Sonic-like formula in terms of game structure, in that there's all these different worlds, which in this game they're referred to as planets. So we're in Planet Flora here, we're going to Planet Undertow next. And these planets are broken up into acts, or in this case I think they're called rounds. But either way, it's the same principle. There's these different worlds that are broken up into 2 stages and a boss. But as for the world itself, or not really world, it's more like a solar system itself. Ristar takes place in the Valdi system, which I get the impression it is a solar system in itself, and it's probably well miles away from the Milky Way, given this doesn't look like anything on Earth. It's got some sort of likeness to what we see on Earth, but it's kind of a far cry, all things considered. So yeah, it takes place in the Voldy system, and there is a story here. It's a very simple story, as you might expect from a Mega Drive game, but it's there nonetheless. And what is happening is there is this space pirate called Kaiser Greedy. And what Greedy is doing is, Greedy is taking over all the different planets of this solar system that this is setting by using mind control on the leaders. So all the bosses we're going to encounter are leaders from the respective planets, and we're got to relieve them of that mind control, because right now they're just blindly following Greedy's orders, and you know, we want to restore power to how it's meant to be. We want to stop Greedy getting too powerful. And first up is this boss here called, I believe he's pronounced Riho. But it's that sort of thing that's clinging on him that's making him attack us. So the general pattern here is jump up, hit him from below, and when the mind control thing drops, that's when you just gotta knock that out of place and that deals a hit. And it's a very simple boss, as you might expect from the first boss of the game, but it's also kind of fun. It's another one that teaches you to effectively use the grab mechanic. You can sort of skip it a little bit by jumping ahead, like jumping when he's that bit higher up, but if you want to play it safe, then he will eventually just duck down and then you get an easy attack in. But yeah, that's Riho down, and with that we have beaten the first of the planets in Ristar. So yeah, back to the story. The reason Ristar is involved here is Ristar's father was a legendary hero who the inhabitants of the planet originally tried to reach out for when this whole Greedy mind control thing started to go down. But Greedy was actually a few steps ahead there, because he thought to kidnap that legendary hero too. So with the legendary hero out of the picture, it's now down to Ristar himself to go through this little quest to relieve all the leaders of this mind control. And you know, it's like I say, it's very simple for a Mega Drive game, but it's charming enough. I like Ristar as a character, and that might seem weird to say because he's mostly a silent character. He has a few little lines, a few little noises he makes, but you know, he's very simple, but he's also very expressive. And that's something I like a lot with characters in these kind of games in particular, because you know, you might notice he's got a bit of an angry face going on. He is very much a American Kirby kind of deal. Like, you know, he's very cheerful in the Japanese one, but they brought it over to America and the UK, and suddenly he's quite a bit more edgy. But even then, I'd still see a lot of expressions in Ristar's face and his movements and that as we're going along, and it just makes him quite a likeable protagonist. But anyway, into Planet Undertow, which in my eyes is probably one of the best water levels from this particular era of gaming. And there's a couple of reasons I say that. For a start, it doesn't have any kind of awkward or annoying drowning mechanic like, you know, Sonic has, because Sonic 1, I think of running through Labyrinth Zone, or more specifically walking through Labyrinth Zone, and you get stuck under the water and you've got to look around for a bubble and it really breaks the pace. Now, thankfully Ristar doesn't have anything like that in Planet Undertow. But also, Ristar controls really well under the water. You know, he doesn't get stuck, he doesn't slow down. He actually has a specific mechanic of swimming, like he can push himself in the water, he speeds himself up. You know, gets a bit of a boost as he's swimming around, and that makes exploring the water sections much less daunting, and it just makes the level as a whole keep the pace up. Which, given this isn't even a game that tries to push like speedrunning or anything, it's just a game that tries to encourage you to have a little look around the level and move through at your own pace. It is nice that they don't arbitrarily slow you down like certain games do in water. Because even stuff like Mario, you know, you play an older Mario game, you go underwater, and the swimming mechanic, it really slows you down in Mario. You're much more vulnerable, you know, Like, in this game still you don't really have much to defend yourself, but at least in Ristar you can move at such a pace that self-defense isn't really that important, you can just keep on going. But also, another thing I'd like to bring up about the worlds and the rounds, or, well, acts in Ristar, is you'll notice the tone, the general feel of this particular round of Planet Undertow. It feels quite a bit different to the first one. Like, the first round of Planet Undertow was the sort of surface level, just like a light swim. Whereas now we're getting deeper into the water, and I feel the general presentation complements that well. You notice there's less of a peppy vibe to this particular act, and it's more of a, I guess, ambient is the best way to put it. It's something this game does really well. It really builds up a good ambient feeling, and I just think that's something else that I don't see that much in, you know, old school platformers. It's, you know, back in the day you either had Mario, which was your blow-by-blow platforming, go right, or you got the cool doobie attitude in Sonic, and a lot of other mascot platformers would try to imitate one of those. And so to have this completely different tone in Ristar, it kind of gives Ristar its own identity. And this is reflected through the whole game. Like, every level in this game, I'd say, except maybe one or two that I'm not that fond of, they all have a very memorable identity to them. They have a lasting impression they leave on me beyond just that of, you know, the game as a whole. Like, I had Planet Flora at the start, which was you sort of, I guess it's your obligatory Green Hill clone, but then after that we move on to what isn't just another water level. We have this very distinct water level, and all of the levels do fit into easily definable tropes, but I feel they do a lot more with the trope than just the usual. I know I'm sort of going into Ristar is very creative, and I'm saying that over and over, but that's because it kind of is true. It's kind of why I've come to like Ristar so much. I guess it's just, you know, it feels very much inspired, which in the long pile of Mega Drive platformers, especially a lot of the ones that didn't quite take off, it's nice to have that bit of a chill feeling, bit of a very distinct impression from a game. But another thing that you also will hear me saying a lot of good things about, the music. Just listen to this music going on right now. I think I like every single song on this soundtrack. Every one of them fits very well to the particular setting of the game. And there's also a lot of songs in this game that I will just, you know, put the OST on and just listen as my kind of calm down, relax sort of music. And then there's also songs like one of the credits themes that's my "This fucking rocks" soundtrack, you know. It's another thing like where I think this game is very creative. You got a very unique art style, and it is a unique art style because compare this to like pretty much anything else. The level of detail in the sprites in the background, even right here, you know, an end of level screen where you just get that brief moment to look at it. It just seems very inspired. So there's this unique art style, and there's a very, very well done soundtrack. And it just, I have this level of immersion that is something very special, I think. And this boss, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, like with the last one. I believe it's Osat. This is quite an interesting boss, and this can be a little bit intimidating if you're like me and you're not really that big on underwater life. I believe I talked about this a bit in the Absolute playthrough as well. Sometimes it's just one of my weird fears, underwater stuff, and so to have this shark dude just pounce at the screen suddenly, you know, it can be a bit of an oh crap. But no, like the bossing itself is very basic but very fun. But there we go, like I said, very basic, very fun. I've taken him down already. But yeah, that's Planet Undertow taken down. And as with every level, you gotta finish it with having your epic sort of swing on the pole and go flying, because Ristar is ultimately a shooting star. Hell, in Japan, this game was originally released as Ristar the Shooting Star. I know, my gameplay is unbelievable. But ladies and gentlemen, join me next time for part 2 of Ristar. Bye bye for now.